So we're here today with Justin Hall, one of my good buddies, and he's going to show us a bunch of stuff about how to scrape hides and prepare them for tanning. We're going to do some stretching and some other things today. So we're going to let him take it from here.
Alrighty. In the fall, I get hides. When I ask everybody that hunts what they're doing with their hides. A lot of people just throw them away. A lot of people know that I do this now, so I just bring hides and put them in a bag and throw them in my backyard on the porch. It makes my wife happy. She'll come home and there's these dead hides all over the place. She loves it. But what I'll do, depending on how much time I have, if you don't have any time, you got room in your freezer, throw them right in the freezer. They'll store indefinitely frozen. If you do have time, I'll put them on my beam and I'll scrape all the meat and fat off of them, and then I'll let them dry like this. This is a deer hide that has all the meat and fat scraped off of it. So this side is raw hide, and the other side still has the hair attached to it. And I'll store them like that over the winter until I have time to get to them. Once I have time to get to them in the spring when it's not frozen out around here, I'll throw them in a barrel. I have these barrels right here. And I have these barrels that I'll throw them in and I'll soak them in. And depending on how warm it is, depends on how quick you have to get to them and scrape them. The hotter it is, the quicker you have to get to them and scrape them. Once you come in here and the hair starts slipping, so the hair will pull out really easy, that's, you can start scraping. So at this point, we're gonna dump this out, we're gonna put it on the beam, and I'll show you how we get started scraping. What I do is I lay it on this beam, and you can use a C-clamp here to hold it in place, but I just use my big gut. And since my gut's getting more sensitive because the fatter it gets, I put a little towel here to give me some cushion. And you're gonna start scraping. And if you look on here, the hair is slipping. And so the hair will come off pretty easy. If you're doing an alum tan or another commercial tan, that's fine. But if you're doing the brain tan, you need to get that outer epidermis off. So you gotta scrape down on this. And get that epidermis off. If you look on there, you can see the contrast in the colors of where you're getting that outer epidermis off. And then that's what it's going to look like. What you're doing is you're basically taking the outer layer of skin off of the hide. So you'll have like a suede side on both sides basically when you're doing it. And then you just start rotating the hide and scraping. Finished scraping his hide. You've got two options. You can brain it right now, or you can hang it over a fence or something and let it dry, and then you have raw hide. This is a raw hide. You can save this and make it. This was the Mountain Man's duct tape. This was your fix-it-all. This was your super glue. This is what they had before they had those things, back when it was the Indians, pioneers, and cowboys and Indians times. This was the overall fix-it for everything. After we finish scraping it like Phil did this morning, the next step is braining. And we'll talk about that another time. When you pull it out, now you want to get all the moisture out of it and get it as dry as quick as you can, and you have to stretch it as it's drying, or else it won't work. You'll have hard spots. The way I do it, there's different ways of doing it, but the way that I found works best for me is I take the hide and I kind of when I pull out the bucket, I rinse it out, trying to get as much of the brains and water out as I can. And then I'm going to bring it over here. I just use my fence post because that's what I have. You can use your own post, you can use whatever, you can improvise. But this is what I do that works for me. I'm going to try to get some more out of it. And I'm going to wrap these ends into himself. And then I get a stick and I start twisting it. I'm wringing the hide out, trying to get as much of all the moisture out of it I can, so that it dries quicker and it's less labor. Okay, so at this point, you've got the hide wrung. At this point, what you typically would do is you start stretching it and wringing it. You want to stretch it. As you're stretching, the fibers loosen. And what's happening is, as the brains have penetrated the hide, as you are stretching it, it keeps those fibers lubricated and stretched and soft, so that as it's dry, you have a soft product that is soft, and the brain tan hides breathe, so they are easier to wear in the summer. They're not as hot, they breathe, and in the winter they stay warmer than your commercial tanned hides. This hide has a lot of holes in it. Depending on where I get the hides from, I get free hides, so when people skin them, a lot of times they're just doing the best they can. It's best to skin an animal just by starting around the butthole and down the back legs, and use your hand to pelt the rest of the way. That way you don't have any score marks. Like all these are score marks from where they put the hide with their knife. A lot of people don't know the best way to tan a hide. A lot of them just don't care, they're just getting it off. But if you're going to be skinning your own and tanning your own, what I will do is, as it starts drying, I'll stretch it for a while, and then I'll go and I'll sew these shut, these holes shut, and I'll do that as it's drying. There's a couple different ways to stretch a hide. You can use a frame and put them in a frame, and that's a very effective way. You probably get your best stretch out of that way, plus your hide stays flat. If you want to walk over here, Phil, I'll show you. I haven't finished this frame up, but when you're framing, I get fence staples, and you'll put them all along the edges of this frame when I get done with it. And then you're going to lace your hide into lace that twine through the edges of the hide, and so your hide is stretched out. And then you're going to push on that, and as you push, it's going to grab each one of those four edges, and it's going to be stretching that hide out every which direction, and keeping those fibers stretched. That's a really good way to do it. If you don't have that, one of the methods I do, you can pull it by your hand. You can see how much stretch is in it at first. The more it dries, the less stretch it will get. This is widthwise now. So I'm pulling it widthwise, and then you'll go back and you'll pull it lengthwise to stretch it back out. As you can see how much stretch you get as the hide is wet and drying. You can sit down on the ground, clamp it with your feet. I'll go show you that here in just a second. We'll walk over there and we'll do that. Or while we're here, we'll do another method I use.